Can you believe it? Week 0, hours away. College football is back. You see there, the playoff coming in January. It's a 4-teamer now. Eventually it will be an 8-teamer, but the bottom line is we welcome you in to the Sports Edge powered by Inspin.com. And Inspin.com's great network of handicappers. College football is back, and as we bring in the maestro, the man, the myth, the legend, the Maverick McSeely, I'm done with baseball, but it's time to get going with college football. Seal, and by the way, as we welcome everyone in, we've been teasing this for a while. Oh boy, do we have a surprise for you coming up in just a little bit. It is going to be really exciting to welcome in a legendary figure that you and I have known for a long time. You a little longer than me because you're like 3 years older than me. So get ready for that in just a little bit. We'll have Jamie on as well. The BMW Championship, the second week of the FedEx Cup playoffs, is in action right now. Actually, they're in a weather delay outside of Baltimore. So that is kind of at a standstill. Jamie was on a couple guys. We'll let him talk about that when he joins the show. But Seal, I got to tell you, last year, college football, I mean, it was great having college football, but as a general feel, it sucked. It just wasn't fun. We talked about it a lot on this show, and people are joining this show for the first time. We're here each and every week talking football, baseball, obviously a lot of golf, MMA. We're giving you the best, betting angles. We're giving you the best, things to go out there and make money on. And Seal's a long-time experienced handicapper. So is Jamie. We're going to have our legendary guest figure on as well that's been in the business for such a long time. But you were frustrated last year, and I was too. And like I said, it was great they played because it was going to be tough to not have college football at all. And it was almost, it almost happened that way. And obviously the season started very late. But I remember on this show, we talked about it each and every week. All these games that you wanted to bet that very likely would have won, and it got canceled because of COVID. And now this year, at least, if there's a cancellation because of COVID, it's done. There's no postponements. It's a forfeit. But last year was pretty frustrating. Let's knock on wood and hope this year is not like that.
Let's hope so, but there's still cases popping up everywhere in college football and in the pros, so we'll see what happens.
Well, we're in the middle of obviously an insane pandemic that this fourth surge in the U.S. and the Delta variant is terrible, but it's one of these things where
it's the flu. I know it's the flu.
All right, remember this is not a political show. I know you're wearing a stupid Trump hat.
I know, but it is.
It's not. Yeah, so tell that to the famous Japanese actor that was in Kill Bill that died from COVID, or tell it to all these stories you see. We're not getting into that. Remember, I taught you this. We don't alienate our audience here on the Sports Edge. But,
okay.
Yeah, okay. Even though I've told you a million times not to wear that stupid hat, and you continue to wear it.
It's apropos right now because whatever, I'm not going to say
All right, don't even get into it. So anyway, focus. So when you look at this year in college football, we're going to have some forfeits. It's going to happen. Hopefully not that many. But it's going to be a much better feel and a much more normal feel, Seal, compared to last year's shortened season. Some teams played a couple games. You had to load a full 12-game season. I think did Clemson, there was 10, 11 teams that played 12 games, something like that? Very few did.
There wasn't many.
No, but as we look at it, I'm going to throw, by the way, you can get Jamie's sizzling golf picks, as always, at scratchcaddy.com. Please check that out. He's won so many different times this year, and he gives you top 10s and top 20s and has won a bunch of outright. So check him out at scratchcaddy.com. Seal's incredible picks at sportshandicapper.com. So I want to throw up the InSpin live lines where you can always get the, up to the second lines on inspin.com. And I want to take a look at the college football stuff for tomorrow. And obviously it's called week 0. They've been doing that for a while because it really is week 0. It's not week 1. It's the start of college football, but it's not like the regular start. So they always call this week 0. They normally have one or two decent games, but for whatever reason this year, Seal, not really not any good games week 0 at all. It's not like that Florida State Miami game or a Clemson Georgia Tech type game. Georgia Tech, Clemson a Virginia Tech when they were good. These are the games we're looking at getting going tomorrow night and tomorrow afternoon. Nebraska, no, it's a nice Big Ten game for me. Obviously, I'm a Big Ten country. Hawaii at UCLA, UTEP, New Mexico State, Connecticut at Fresno State. How about these games where it's nothing of real special note, but there have been some moves and there's some games that I think are interesting. What are you looking at right now when it comes to the board for Saturday?
There's been a lot of money on Illinois this week. Nebraska doesn't read real well. They've had some problems. They're a little under fire with some of their coaches, with some kind of extra analytics guys they hired. It's against the NCAA rules, which God knows everything's against NCAA rules.
You're against the rules. You just beat you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The week 0, I would call this week -1. I wouldn't even call this week 0. A lot of unknowns the first week. The first week's kind of tough. The first week, so I wouldn't put my money down on any of these games this week. All I can say is Illinois is the sharp side, and they can lose by 20. So who knows?
Sure. Well, this is a huge seal. It's a huge year for Scott Frost, the embattled Nebraska coach. You got two coaches.
Think? Yeah.
Yeah, you got two. You got at least 2 coaches in the Big Ten, including my guy. Well, my team, not necessarily my guy anymore, Jim Harbaugh, and then Scott Robert Frost at Nebraska. And Lovie Smith has had some big wins in recent years at Illinois, games they were huge underdogs in. And, they open up against a Nebraska team that is obviously desperate to get their season started well.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
He's not there. He's back in the NFL, believe it or not.
He is, but yeah, of course. I'm sorry, I explained that wrong. My point is this Illinois team knows what it's like to get big upsets. And I think you look at Nebraska that is pressing right now, and they've got to get off this good start. So it's one of these things where, I could totally see Illinois winning the game or losing by a ton. Yeah, Brett Bielema, the former Wisconsin coach, is the new Illinois coach, but I'm sorry that I explained that wrong. My point is that this Illinois team, there's still a lot of players on this team that have had some big wins. Nebraska really hasn't. So even though you got a new coach, you got guys that are used to not being favored in games, that are used to being kind of counted out, and they're a touchdown dog at home. And I think this is an Illinois team that is not just a live dog for the cover, but could win this game. And Nebraska and the Scott Frost era could be off to a really bad start, and maybe he's not going to make it much more, longer in the season if they lose.
He's been really disappointing in Nebraska. Really, really disappointing.
Well, he was so good at Central Florida.
Yep.
And they claimed a fake national championship. And he was so good there. And then you go to the Big Ten where Nebraska had been bad. I mean, you go back to the Bo Pelini era. Obviously, this was just a Nebraska team that was accepting mediocre results. By the way, there is football that starts tonight. Citadel, Coastal Carolina. Are you fired up for that one? There's no line on that game, I don't think. And then Weber State and Utah. So you got 2 games actually tonight as we're recording on a Friday afternoon. But it's one of these things. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong date there. I'm looking at week 1. I need week 0. So it's one of these things where you mentioned this when we were getting ready for the show. It's very tough to take teams in game 1. You kind of want to see what these teams are doing.
Absolutely.
And especially a new coach at Illinois with Brett Bielema, especially a guy that's battled at Nebraska and Scott Frost. I mean, who knows? And you mentioned that Nebraska having trouble reading things. Are you saying that they need LeVar Burton? They need Reading Rainbow?
With the analytics guys that got in trouble with that?
No, I was making a joke. Yeah, no, but there's obviously some issues at Nebraska.
There is,
and I think that if we'll see how Scott Frost handles that. If they are really tight, and this team knows their coach is in trouble. I mean, we know I've covered teams for years, Seal. I've been embedded with teams. I've called teams games in college basketball and football. I know what these guys are like a family. They live together, they sleep together, they eat together a lot of days of the year, and they're practicing and they're traveling. So if you're watching ESPN and you're watching different sports networks, your coach is on the hot seat. So you want to go out there, if you like your coach and you're a Nebraska player, you're a big Scott Frost guy, which I'm sure most of them are. That's why they're there. You're going to go and do whatever you can, and that can kind of translate and kind of carry over into these student athletes that aren't getting paid. They're still amateurs, and that's something that's scary to me. If you are going to try to lay 7 points on Nebraska after just they ended last season much better. They definitely had some momentum going, and Illinois lost some really good skill players. But I don't know, man. That's a very scary game, any side other than taking Illinois.
Yeah, I would be the dog or nothing, but I won't be putting my shekels up.
Well, yeah, we got to save our shekels for the right situation. Now, can we talk about something that I alluded to that I think is very important, and we say this all the time on the show. Seal's been doing this for a long time. He's extremely, respected and successful. And we're not saying you have to sign up for his site at sportshandicapper.com. I just hope that people will, because he's going to win you money. He always does. And I think that your sage advice and the experience you have is very important. And you brought up the point about, not just jumping on a game because it's out there week one. Seeing how these teams are doing, especially coming out of this crazy COVID year. A lot of teams played imbalanced schedules. Some teams played 6 games. Some played 10. Some played none. Some played 2. You mentioned New Mexico State that's playing at home against UTEP. They didn't even play last season. They decided to wait to the spring. They're basically as good as an FCS team anyway, or a bad FCS team. So they played a couple home games. Yeah, they played a couple home games against FCS teams.
They call them spring games. Spring game.
Yeah, I call them wuss games. But so we have no clue with that. It's very important not to just bet games because they're there, Seal. Explain why that's an important thing.
I actually agree. Just because the season's starting with week -1, and just to bet is a good way to lose your money.
It is. It is. What are you hearing about and reading into with that Hawaii UCLA game right now? You see Hawaii catching 17.5. They are such a bad team, even when they've had good years historically against the spread when they go to the mainland. And, UCLA, they had some moments last year for Chip Kelly towards the middle part to the end of the season, games that they were underdogs and they won, some kind of crazy, multiple overtime games and games that had weird finishes. I remember watching a bunch of them late in the season. What are you reading and hearing about that game? Anything?
Chip Kelly wouldn't lay 17.5 points with him. But
I don't think I laid 7.5 points with them. By the way, that is a 3 p.m. Eastern start. That's a noon kick in California, which obviously they have a lot of noon kicks in California. But to start a season with a noon kick in California in August, it's going to be super hot. And that's the whole game to me just feels weird.
UCLA is one of those teams that has, I think, 19 starters back. So this is his best team. He still didn't have a defense last year, so we'll see how his defense does. They scored some points last year, though. No defense.
Yes, they definitely did. And this game, by the way, opened 11.5. UCLA minus 11.5. It's all the way up to 17.5. Do you not see any value at all? And once again, you don't just take a game to take a game. But, people might be out there, they want to bet $20 or something, whatever. Do you see any value on a small type of play out of Hawaii? I know you mentioned that UCLA, it's the best team Kelly's had, and I mentioned all the momentum they had last season. But listen, that's a 6-point move. It's the first game of the year. I mentioned all the stuff about Hawaii being a terrible historic against the spread team on the mainland. But it is the first game, Seal, and Chip Kelly might not be doing a lot. If they're up by 14 late in the fourth quarter, maybe he just pulls out his starters and, you get a cover there. Is there any inclination, because that's so many points, and Hawaii's got some talent. They don't have a ton, but they've got some speed at the receiver position. They've got some speed at running back. Their quarterback's okay. I just wonder if that's enough points to take a little sniffle on.
And maybe, but I heard rumors that Hawaii's battling COVID, so I'm not getting involved.
Please don't get into these. Last year we had all these rumors about COVID, and every game kept getting postponed or canceled. I don't want any more rumors on that.
I heard a rumor. I haven't seen it for sure, but I'm not touching the game. But I heard they've had COVID problems, so who knows?
All right. So we're gonna jump off of that one, and then an interesting game.
Don't say the police. Oh, that game. That's
what game you think it was? Oh, Connecticut and Fresno. Come on. No, you look at the UTEP. The UTEP 49ers, and you look at New Mexico State being such a terrible team and one of the bottom 5 teams for the last several years in the FBS. To be honest, they should probably just go to the FCS. They'll have a better chance to be more successful. They want to have the scholarships and all that stuff. They're catching 10 at home, and I know you have some info and you've heard some things on this game as well.
Well, a lot of people like the favorite UTEP. I can't lay a touchdown plus with them on the road against anybody. New Mexico State might be the worst team in Division 1A this year.
You know who used to be the worst team in Division 1A? I mean, one of the worst, my alma mater, Eastern Michigan. And boy, what a job my man Chris Creighton has done. They might win their division this year in the MAC.
In the West,
they're a good futures play. I think they're like 11 or 15-1 or so.
They lost a lot of close games last year. They're always in big games. All their games come down to the end. It's amazing.
They do. But they were terrible, and they've climbed up. I don't think New Mexico State ever is. But that line hasn't really moved. It opened -9.5 for UTEP, and it's just up to 10. What does that tell you?
No, that game was 7.
I see the opening there at 9.5, my friend.
I don't care what you're looking at. The game was 7. I know people that laid 7. So
I think you're
can't go by those openers. 2 months ago, the game was 7.
I think that's all facts. Alternate facts.
But I don't like that game. New Mexico State. They are a independent team, which is
right.
Unless you're Notre Dame or BYU, being an independent in the top echelon of college football, Division 1A, is a really tough gig.
Oh yeah, no conference. You get no conference money. You have no conference protection.
Conference TV, money.
The only reason you got a team like I know Navy's been an independent in the past.
Navy's not an independent.
No, they have been in the past.
Right. Army's an independent, but Army
right. And no, but they're a service academy. You don't have to worry about it. And Notre Dame has huge money from NBC. Otherwise, why would you ever want to be an independent?
Well, the best independent team out there besides Notre Dame BYU is Liberty. Liberty's loaded this year. Now, Liberty tried to get into the Sun Belt, and they didn't want them. They were afraid of them. They have
remember, Liberty's a for-profit school started by Jerry Falwell, so they didn't have to worry about being in a conference.
They wanted to be in a conference, and they wouldn't take them. So Liberty's a watch out for Liberty. They were good last year. They're better this year.
They have a great quarterback, too. Liberty. So we're obviously not going to talk about the Connecticut-Fresno State game. But back to the point.
Another independent in Division I.
The point we were making that I think is very important for people to understand is that you mentioned this. We were getting ready for the show earlier. So you got 130-plus FBS teams, and you have all the FCS teams as well. There's going to be sometimes 65 games a day, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more based on FCS games that are lined. And Seal, by the way, you've been doing this for a while, so you remember this. And obviously, I started betting when I was very young, so I remember it too. Remember when maybe there would be 3 FCS games that have lines? Now, literally every FCS game has a line. And you used to have maybe if Alabama was playing I don't know, the Citadel, they would maybe have a line. Now, no matter what, any FBS team for the most part that's playing a game against obviously an FBS team always has a line. But against an FCS team, 95% of the time has a line. It's amazing how things have changed, but it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you obviously can pick your spots and focus on stuff. But you brought up a great point earlier that you don't want to. There's too many teams to try to handicap them all. So you got to focus on certain things, whether it's a couple conferences, whether it's certain teams that even no matter what the conference is, that you're always going to follow them and know about them. You don't want to try to do too much because you do that, you're going to start losing money.
Yeah, to try to bet and follow 130 teams is insane. Unless you're just purely punching in numbers into a computer and coming up with a number and just betting off your number. But if your numbers are that good, then you can bet every game if you want to, or any conference. But you really should focus on 5-6 conferences, 70 teams, 80 teams. That's plenty. 130 is ridiculous.
It is. You know who likes punching numbers into a computer? Our man Jamie with his brand new fancy pants internet and laptop. I think is he not hearing me? And we'll get back with him in a minute. I know his laptop is working because I can see him in the green room there. But speaking of punching in numbers, Seal, will you tell people? Because I've always been fascinated by this. And I know you have a proprietary method, so you're not going to give everything away. But will you let people know what goes into handicapping games for you? And I know different sports are different when it comes to baseball or football or obviously the NBA or college hoops. But let's just take football, for example. What goes into handicapping a game for you? Because you've done this for so long and at such a high level. I'm just fascinated by what it takes to be a successful handicapper like you.
Well, there's usually three things. There's technical, fundamental, situational. they're like who they play next is a big deal. What they're coming, who they played before. That's the situational stuff. The technical is the stats. Fundamental, handicap. There's really 3 basic things that go into it. But you really should use all, but you can't just use one. I mean, some people just bet trends in different sports. You know, the team won 3 in a row, blah, blah, blah. They're 0-8 against the spread on the road against this team. That stuff is the trend stuff I don't really buy. Because once you find a trend that's profitable, it's too late. That's right. That's my opinion. So, but I mean, there's a guy. What's his name? Mark Lawrence. He has a book he puts out every year. I don't know if you heard of him, Mark Lawrence.
I not only have I heard of him, I know Mark Lawrence very well. I used to have him on a previous incarnation of the SportSedge for years. Great guy.
Yeah, good guy. I think I met him once, but all he bets is trends.
Yeah,
that's all he bets. If you see his book, he just bets trends. You would know that because you know him.
Yeah. My dad, before I met Mark years ago, isn't his son called the Cincinnati Kid? Or the Kansas, something like that. His son's got some nickname. But years ago, before I met him, my dad got his book, got his newsletter, and loved it. He loved the trends, the technical play, and the underdog play. And he loved that stuff. He loves it. Yeah,
but trends are just part. I mean, trends are. I wouldn't bet yourself trends, but that's what he does. So, you know.
All right. Well, speaking of trends, how about a trendsetter? All right, let's go to someone that I told you we've been teasing this for weeks. He's got a Dodgers hat on. It's the legendary figure. He says he can't hear us. Uh-oh. He's got no sound. He looks great, though. He looks great. He's got what's up with the Dodgers hat, Seal?
Well, they win every day.
Yeah, they do win every day.
You got to wear a hat that's a winner. I have a hat that's a winner, and he has a hat that's a winner. The Dodgers.
All right, let me see. Let's get Jamie on here and see if Jamie. Jamie, can you hear us? Jamie can hear us. Can he hear us? Jamie, can you hear us? The internet's working fine, so we got that. We got that going. All right, so listen, Seal. You know what we're gonna do? Since you done such a great job. Let's wrap this up, and then hold on. Let me try one more time here. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us? Can you? Yes? No? Maybe? Yes? Starsky and Hutch? Oh, Lord. All right, so, Seal, let's wrap this up, and we'll do a new version with our people there. I think they'll figure it out because I want to make sure that obviously they can hear us. I don't know what's going on there. But as always, what are the weekend over-under cheesesteak numbers? What are we doing for the weekend? We got college football week 0. Should be set.
I haven't really thought about it right now. I'm too busy.
Too busy doing what? We're going to go a wacky hat?
I'm not too busy to eat, but I haven't figured out the menu for the rest of the weekend. So I'm gonna pass on the number. It's too hot. I don't feel like even going out of my house to go anywhere. It's too hot. It's too hot back here.
Oh, I know. It's like 99 degrees here. It's crazy.
It's too humid. I just don't like the humidity. I don't like it.
All right, should we try one more time here? Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Mr. Is that a Pools hat? Is he wearing a Pools hat? You got us now?
I got you. I can hear you.
All right, the legendary. I was gonna restart this. We've been teasing. Now, listen. Before we get into anything, we'll get Jamie here in a minute. Before we get into anything, we've been teasing the legendary figure that is Starsky for weeks now. The internet is brilliant. You're brilliant. What's up with the Dodgers hat, by the way? Are you a big?
I can't root for the Phillies anymore, right?
No,
you can't root for the Phillies, and Aaron knows not there anymore.
I've been asking Mr. Seeley every day for the past couple weeks, can the Phillies make the playoffs? And what's your answer, Mr. Seal?
Male, no.
No shot.
I think they're done.
Yeah. They got about as much shot as the Detroit Tigers, damn it, man.
Listen to my Tigers. Making out 500, that's all that matters. But Starsky, before we get into anything, like I mentioned, I'm going to bring our man Jamie in just 1 second. We'll talk a little BMW. Seal and I have been talking about week 0 in college football and why not to just jump on games because they're out there and all these other things. But Starsky, you are one of the more legendary figures in the sports gambling, handicapping, general life business. will you just let the people know just a little bit, whatever, as much as you want about you? And you and I go way back. I'm very grateful to know you and have you in my life, but you've always been ahead of the curve for a long time. And I think that it's going to be fascinating for people to get to know who you are and what you've been able to do in your life and career, and just give people a little bit of that, because I think your story and you're just a fascinating guy.
I actually started with my dad years ago. Mr. Seeley over there used to work for my father. He was a professional gambler in Philadelphia. I was still in school at the time. I was in high school and college, I think, when Mr. Seal started working for him. He came to me when I graduated. He said, I graduated, from college with a regular degree for a regular business. And he said to me, listen, you can make a hell of a lot more money betting sports than you can doing what you're doing now. So he got me involved with the office. Seal used to work with him. No, Seal was a reader, a bettor, a sharp guy. Seal's got much more experience than I do. And then when my father passed, me and Seal hooked up with a couple of the other guys that they used to work with. And we put together a system. We put together a system where we talk every day. Seal does the majority of the work. This guy, you see him now, he doesn't look that tired. You're actually looking pretty good, Mr. Seeley.
Seeley's always he's on top of it.
He's waking up, though. For a guy that's waking up pretty much 4 o'clock every morning and reading articles before everybody else is still not out of bed, he's looking pretty good. Seal gets me in the morning. I wake up. I'll read a little bit. We created these handicapper websites. We all have our different websites. SealSportsHandicapper.com. I have InSpin.com. Jamie's got his own site where he focuses on golf. We got Dan. You got your site, Squatch Picks. We got a couple other guys we work with. They all have their handicapper sites, and we kind of all work together. So Seal and me will get on the phone in the morning. He'll give me information about which games he likes, injuries, weather, all sorts of stuff. And then we decide what we're going to bet, and then he goes out and bets the stuff, and it pretty much moves across the country and across the world. That's the way it is.
It's amazing, and I think what I love about this show and what you and I have done in the past in many different ventures is that there are people out there that think they understand what it takes to be successful in sports gambling and handicapping. There are people out there that think that it's easy. Not only is it not only do you have to be smart, not only if you are smart, you can be, like you said, your dad was saying, you made a lot more betting sports. That's why I think this show is so much fun and so special for me. And what we're going to do as we go forward as well, what we've done in the past. And Jamie's about to come in here in a minute, and he's incredible at golf, as you mentioned. His site, scratchcaddy.com. Seal's incredible with what he does at sportshandicapper.com. But you're kind of the maestro of it all. And I think that if people, and I say this all the time on this show, Starsky, that we're not saying you got to sign up for these sites. We would love you to, because you're going to win. But it's if you think you can do it on your own, and people like all this experience. Let's bring Jamie in too, because now we got, what do we have? 155 years of experience. There's a little echo there. See, I warned you guys about the echo. We'll fix that in a second.
Right. But, you're right. You're right about the experience. You're right about the experience. Like here's the deal, man. And you know this because you've been down here with me. We've known each other for 20 years. 20 years ago, I was a lot younger. I was just in the business. My father was still alive.
Yeah, by the way, you still look like you're the same age of 20 years ago. I don't know what you're doing.
I wish. 3 kids later, and a lot of stress later. I'm still doing it, and Seal's still doing it, but it's not easy. Like a lot of people think they can just look at the games every day, bet them, and win. And then you get these idiots like I refer to as scam handicappers. These guys that open up websites, and they're great marketers. Don't get me wrong, tremendous marketers, but they don't know anything about the games or anything else. Basically, what they're doing is they're stealing our games that we're betting because they're seeing us move across the screen, which we'll do on one of these radio shows. Like we'll bet a live game. Like I'll show you on Mr. Steele's screen. I'll have them logged in. I'll have them bet a game, and you'll see it move across every casino in Las Vegas. You'll see it move across every offshore sports book. You'll see it move all around the world simply because he made a $2,000 bet. That's how simple it is, because they know who he is. and they know his history, and they know what he does, and that's how good he is. And that's the thing. Like we did these handicapper sites because I have a marketing background. So I built these. Seal doesn't have a marketing background. I built these sites. I built them. We hooked up credit cards to them to sell picks because I knew I had an asset in a guy like Seal and some of these other guys. And the picks that we put out there, you're going to win with. You know, it's funny. You see a guy, this guy Vegas Dave. That's he's out there now, and I don't give a shit if he's watching the show or not. Okay, if he ever hears about this, the guy's a total phony. Okay, total phony when it comes to betting. You give your money to a guy like Vegas Dave, you're going to lose. Okay, you might as well find your favorite charity and just give the money to the charity because you're doing more for the world than you ever could by betting his games. Okay, he knows nothing about sports. I would put Mr. Seal, I would put Seal up against him any day of the week, any season of the year, easily. He doesn't know shit about anything. Like what me and Seal do a game, like I'll give you an example. Okay, I'll look at the schedule real fast right now. Philadelphia's playing the Diamondbacks tonight. Okay, so I'll get on the phone with Seal in the morning and I'll say, Seal, Philly Diamondbacks, let's go. Let's talk about it. The first thing I'll ask him, I'll say, Seal, what do you see weather-wise? They're playing in Philadelphia. He'll tell me wind's blowing out the right field. Right away, we know how many home runs have been hit out the right field over the last 12 years. Okay? I'll ask him, what's the wind speed? What's the humidity? What do you think about the weather overall? Who's the umpire? He'll tell me, well, it's the first game of the series. The umps aren't out yet. If it's the second game of the series, we know the ump in advance. We'll check the umpire. We'll check the umpire's stats. How many times does it, a guy like we know guys like Doug Eddings and Bill Miller are under umps. Okay, why do you think Doug Eddings got attacked last week? They're under umps. They're going to call a lot more strikes than they're going to call balls. Okay, we know the umpires are going to call more balls. If you're calling more balls and you're calling strikes, there's going to be more people on base. If you got wind blowing out in a stadium that's a home run stadium, and you got a pitcher on the mound that Mr. Seal tells me is having problems with his elbow a little bit, and the bullpens have been used for the last 3 days, we might decide to make a bet on the over. That's how we handicap. That's the correct way to do it. Normal people can't do that. And we're not going to sit here on a radio show and give out our whole formula to everything because it's the course. But if you sign up on our site, you can know something for sure. And Mr. Seal knows this. Everything we put on our websites, our group of websites, we are betting ourselves. Okay, we're betting ourselves and we're betting them for a shitload of money. If you don't want to buy our picks, don't buy them because we're going to make money no matter what. Vegas Dave needs you to buy his picks. You know why? Because Vegas Dave can't go and bet his own picks and fucking win. It's not going to happen.
How about Vegas Dave and guys like that faking tickets, like photoshopping, bet dimes, 5 dimes?
Anybody can do that. You know that. Anybody today, they can Photoshop. Vegas Dave, he became famous. He became viral because he said he picked the Royals to win the World Series or whatever the fuck it was a couple years ago. Okay, anybody can do that. You know what he did? He took a ticket. It was probably the Yankees to win the World Series, and he switched it out and switched the numbers, and he told everyone it was the Royals, and he sent it out to a bunch of newspapers. Everybody read it. Everybody believed it. I mean, because you know how easy it is to believe the news media. And they all jumped on, and all of a sudden the guy's getting all these PayPal deposits, and the next thing you know, people are complaining why they're losing all their money.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. I mean, the best advice I give people all the time, people call us up, and they say, am I going to win with you every day? Am I going to win money? We're going to tell them no. And a lot of times they hang up the phone right away. But that's the way it is. You're not going to win every day. We don't win every day. A guy like Vegas Dave, he's going to tell you he wins every day. He's going to buy his fancy bags, and he's going to run his fancy girlfriend.
Yeah, how about paying Holly Saunders to marry him?
Exactly. And that's the thing. We're going to tell you this. We're going to tell you this. Stick with us. Stick with us, and in the long term, you're going to make money. We're going to tell you the good spots. Yeah, you're going to be able to sign up for more money for VIP packages, and you might, if you sign up for a VIP package, which we're going to have on the website soon, you're going to get a call from us before we bet this stuff. Which is important because once we bet it, it's gone. The number's not there anymore. Like if Mr. Seal, I'll give you an example. He calls me up on a Saturday morning. He says, listen, I was reading something last night, and a college football team that normally runs a certain number of plays a week has a press conference, or the coach has a conference, and he says, listen, we're going to try to speed things up a little bit, and instead of running 80 plays a game, we're going to run 110 or whatever it is. Okay, Seal's going to give me that information, and we're going to look at the total, and the total might be 58 all across the board. It's 58 at Caesars. It's 58 at MGM. It's 58 all over Vegas. It's 58 all over offshore, 58, 58 and a half. Seal goes and bets it. We're going to hit it. It's going to go to 59, 59 and a half, 60, 60 and a half. And then all of a sudden, all the followers are going to jump in. And before you know, the game's going to close 65, and we're going to be sitting with over 58 for a pretty large bet. And that's the way it works.
I love it. You couldn't have explained that any better. That's what this show is all about, is getting that information out. Obviously, like you said, not everything's going to be given out, for free as far as letting people know exactly what you've done and been so successful with, but way more information than they're going to get from pretty much anybody. And that's why I love being involved with this. All right, Starsky, stick around for a minute. I got to take you off and bring Jamie on because you guys are so in love with each other. You're too close to each other. But wait, are we echoing?
Separate.
Yeah, there we go. Turn that off. All right, Jamie, you're on. You're a whole new man here, a whole new man with a fast, beautiful-looking Polaroid internet. I love you.
Starsky comes on the show and everything gets fucked up. I mean, he's calling people out and everything. It's crazy.
That's what it's all about, my man. All right, so listen, you got ScratchCaddy.com, and people know, our audience knows you very well. And you've been with us the whole time since we started the show. Let's, for people that are watching for the first time, I think it's really important as well. Like when we talked to Seal about this, we talked to you about this. Let people know why you've been successful. And I'm going to throw your site up, your incredible site, ScratchCaddy.com. And I mentioned before you came on today, and we've talked about it all year, you've won so many different outrights and top 10s and top 20 bets. You do all the work for people with all the different numbers you put on your website, Scratch Caddy. I'm going to throw up just an example right here. When it comes to the BMW, you have recent form. You have par 72 bent grass greens, which they're playing on outside of Maryland right now at the Caves course. You've got first-time course numbers. And you lay all this out there. And obviously, like Starsky said, if someone asks you, are you going to win every week? The answer is going to be no. But are you going to win more than, are you going to profit every year? The answer is absolutely not. Just let people know what goes into your selections and why it's been so successful.
Well, you know what, Dan? This all started about 20 years ago, and when I came over to Costa Rica, and we got the Elliott's Golf Form book, and I used to study that religiously. Then I ended up working with a guy called Mike Miller, a guy from New Zealand who's got smart golf bets, and he had Green Square Golf as well for a while. And it was then when I really started taking note of it all and looking how he does it all. And it's basically just, to me, it's a big jigsaw puzzle. And you're trying to work out which is going to be the last piece in the jigsaw, which will be the last guy, which will be the guy who comes in first. So you look at all the golf courses, you look at the previous results, you look at how the scores were, which kind of player came out at the top of the leaderboard, who wasn't playing well, everything like that. Because listen, I mean, as we've all seen today, I mean, we were on Bryson DeChambeau last week, and he goes out and shoots a 60 today, 12 under. I mean, these are the best golfers in the world, and on any given day, they can all shoot a number to lead the tournament. Obviously, this week we were pretty heavy on Jordan Spieth, and there was a few reasons as to why. Throughout this year, I always keep a lot of numbers and a lot of stats on stuff. 99 times out of 100, it's pretty useless. But the Jordan Spieth numbers are real interesting this year. So there's strokes gained numbers that are out there on the PGA Tour website right now, and I hear all these podcasts of people saying, well, he was like, number 1 for strokes gained on approach and number 5 for strokes gained off the tee. There was only one strokes gained number to me that makes any difference, and that's the strokes gained around the green. Simply because, you know what, these guys are that good. They could take their driver on the practice range, get with their coach, and they can fix it straight away. That's not a problem. Strokes gained around the green is going to be more feel. It's going to be more touch. It's going to be how they see the shot, how they can execute the shot. And if you look at Jordan Spieth, for example, this year, he was number 10 strokes gained around the green at the Phoenix Open. The week after, he came 3rd at Pebble. And he was 3rd for strokes gained around the green at Valero. The week after, came 3rd at the Masters. He was 7th in the US PGA for strokes gained around the green. The week after, came 2nd at the Charles Schwab. Those are the only 3 times he's came in the top 10. Last week, sorry, at the Northern Trust, he came 9th for strokes gained around the green. So you know what? We've got trends there that nobody looks at. Okay, you may look at it 1 week, but you don't look at it throughout the course of 25 weeks and see patterns emerging. And it's those patterns that emerge, which are the things that you want to keep in the back of your mind for the week that it counts. And then, again, another reason for Jordan Spieth was he's sponsored by Under Armour. Under Armour's head office is in Baltimore. The founder of Under Armour is a member at this course. All of the photo shoots for Spieth are done on this golf course. So he's had loads of experience of being here. It's a brand new course as well. And obviously with the Northern Trust finishing a day late last week, everybody else had 1 day less to practice. He must have played this course God knows how many times. Now, yeah, okay, nothing's going to happen with Spieth this week. But those are the things that come out throughout the course of a year, that if you keep on betting them, eventually you're going to hit them. And the amount of bets that you place compared to the odds that you're betting them at, you're always going to come out of it in advantage. And listen, anybody can bet John Rahm at 6-1,
right,
to win a golf tournament. There's nothing, you can have $100 on Rahm.
It's fighting the Jonathan Vegas at 125, right?
Golf winners. So yeah, it's just a lot of work, a lot of background reading, keeping a lot of stats updated throughout the course of the year and for previous years as well. And pulling those stats out at certain times on certain courses, on certain events, at certain times where it's all in your favor. And you keep on doing that, and eventually you'll end up in the plus column. As Starsky said, you're not going to win every day. We're not going to win every week. I think we've had a run of golfers over the last 5-6 tournaments where we've come second 4 or 5 times. So it's 1 or 2 shots. You look at a tournament and it's 270 shots for a winner, 260 shots, whatever it may be. Well, 2 shots is less than 1%. Less than 1% of the shots that he played for that tournament was the only difference between him winning and coming second. So, yeah, it does get frustrating. You think you do get something, but you've got to keep on going at it. You've got to keep on updating the numbers all the time, keep on looking at the numbers all the time, and making sure that that you're spotting the things that when it comes around, you've already got all the information.
Well, I can tell you this, one of the reasons, there's many reasons I love this show that we do, and that I love guys like you and Seal, and of course have known Starsky for such a long time, is because you guys are real. I mean, like Starsky mentioned the Vegas Daves and the fake touts out there. What was the guy's name? Wayne Allen Root, the guy that ran for vice president. They're not real. Someone like you, Jamie, you always give the information out, you explain why, and you win and you're successful. So I'm very grateful to have you involved in this show and be part of it myself, because this is going to win people a lot of money. People have won a lot of money by following you. And I look forward. I mean, we got this FedEx Cup playoffs. The next week we have the Tour Championship, and then in like a month the season starts again. And there's a ton of money to be made from October to January, because there's some smaller fields. Well, not necessarily smaller fields, less top-heavy fields, and you get a guy for $150 to 1 or 200 to 1 that wins or gets a top 10 and a top 20, and there's great value on that, Jamie. Yeah,
that's my favorite time of the year. When you've got the fall season where you're not having your John Rahms, your Johnsons, your Spieths, your DeChambos, your McIlroys playing. And you'll see the guys who are further down the leaderboard who are 100 to 1 in those tournaments when they're playing, but you can still get a decent price about them. And okay, their form figures may not look that good, but you've got to remember about the strength of the field that they were playing in those events where they're coming 26th, they're coming 30th. You've got a real strong field in those, and now all of a sudden the field strength has dropped by 25%, 30% or whatever, and they're a real live candidate for that. So yeah, the RSM Classic that's coming up in sort of October, November time. We've got Mayakoba, Houston will be there as well. So there's plenty of events that I really enjoy betting, because you get the guys there who people don't think of, don't look at, and you can get some really good prices about guys.
All right, can't wait for it. Jamie, keep up the great work. It's always an honor and a pleasure to have you on. We'll see you next week. Good luck with Spieth. Maybe we can get a nice run from Spieth or Koepka the next couple of days. You never know. There's no cut, so maybe they'll shoot a 60 tomorrow. So, Jamie, thanks so much. We love you. Let's bring our man Starsky back in. Before we get out of here, and Starsky, me and Seal talk a lot about college football, but just getting ready for the NFL and for college. And Jamie mentioned the golf there, and obviously we got the baseball playoffs coming up, NBA and hockey around the corner. There really is a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money out there, isn't there?
There is. There's tons. The people that work with us, like you guys just heard Jamie, like we only bring in people to work with us that know what they're talking about. I don't know a lot about golf. Jamie called me this. He called me this week. He gave me his Spieth information. He told me not a lot of players have played on this course. Spieth represents Under Armour. He's been there many times. He's probably played the course a lot. It was a good spot. Is he going to win? We don't know. I mean, golf's a tough sport. Golf's not the type of sport that you win week in and week out. It's the type of sport that if you follow picks that Jamie gives out with his information, and he's only going to give you 3 or 4 golfers a week. I mean, if Jamie had come to me years ago and said, "Listen, I'm going to give you 10 to 15 golfers to bet a week," I would have laughed it off and I would have said, beat the office. Jamie's not like that. Jamie tells you. He came to me, he showed me the information he had. He showed me the system he built. Okay, this is not what you're going to get from the other handicappers out there. You're never going to see a video with Vegas, a guy, and I keep saying Vegas Dave, and I use him because he really blew up, over the last couple of years, and I use his name because every time I saw him blowing up and making money, it made me sick to my stomach because I said there's so many people out there that are losing money right now. You're never going to see a video from him where he can explain, why a game moved from 37. He's never going to be able to explain to you what key numbers are in football. He's never going to be able to tell you, why a college football game dropped from 72 to 64. Because he doesn't know. He gets information, or he might get a tip from someone else. And basically, a lot of these handicappers, what they do is they're good marketers. They get enough of a following, and they give half the guys one side of the game. They give half the guys the other side of the game. The half that lose, they don't hear back from. The half that win, call them up. They split them in half again, keep taking the winners, keep splitting them in half until they get a group of guys, and then they finally hit them, and they say, "Listen, I just gave you 5 winners in a row. If you want winner number 6, send me $10,000. Send me $5,000." And that's how these guys make money. We don't do that. The people that work for us, the people that are part of our organization, the people whose website links are on the bottom of our page, are people who know what they're doing. They're people that work. They read. They investigate. Seal, I'll give you an example with Seal. We not only we don't run around saying we know everything about every sport and we know everything that's going on with everything. There's a group of guys that we respect. Seal knows a lot of them. Seal calls them his guys. He just doesn't read. He talks to people every day. He talks to groups that he knows win and have won, not just this year, last year, that have won consistently for 10, 20 years. The real guys, not the handicappers, not these scandicappers with the websites. These guys that have won consistently over the years. And somebody told me one time, they asked me, they said, "Well, why do you, if you guys are making so much money, why do you guys have these websites up?" And the bottom line is this: we make money betting our own things, but if we can get people to sign up with us on our websites and we can make them money too and take money away from the bookmakers, we're happy to do it.
That's a winning formula, my friend.
Exactly. But you're never going to get a cold call from us. You're never going to get a phone call at your house, where we're asking you to sign up for our service, because we don't need to do that. If you come to us, we'll help you. You're gonna have to pay for it, but we'll help you because it costs us money to do what we're doing. But we don't operate the way some of these other operations operate. And that's
why it is. And Starsky, that's why I love being involved with this. That's why, as you mentioned, I've known you for 20 years on a very personal level, but also a professional level. There's no one better. We love Seal, even though Seal's, jumping around with his fish right now.
Yeah, Sealy, what did you do? I've been busting Seal's balls for the last couple of weeks because Seal has historically been he knows a lot about college football. He loves the MAC conference.
Yeah, he's the king of the MAC.
He's king of the MAC. He did real well in the Hilton contest last year. He took down some money in the Hilton contest. I don't know what place he came in, but he was close to top 10. He made us a little money in the Hilton contest. We're all going to be in the Hilton contest. I'm buying buy-ins for everyone this year. We'll put them up on the show every week. Everybody can do their own picks. We'll release our picks every week. You know, a couple years ago back, actually it was more than a couple years ago. 2000, I think it was 2013. I went into the final day of the Hilton contest. I was entered as in spin, and I went into the final day in second place. I ended up in third place. I lost by 1.5. First place finish by 1.5 on the final day of the year. It was very disappointing. But it's a tough contest. I mean, you got you know, like there's $5 million guaranteed this year. I mean, it's crazy. There's so many people that are in that contest. It's not only normal, regular people that are sports enthusiasts that are getting in the Hilton contest. It's the pros too. You're going against the pros. You're going against guys like Sealy. You know, and Seal's good. You know, he's always gonna do well in the Hilton contest. Like
a couple years ago too. Yeah. I think it was 3 years ago. I for my show that I was doing for 97.1, the station I worked for years, I was giving out 5 picks like they do a week on Twitter. And if I would have, who knows, if the lines would have been the same, I would have finished in third place.
Nice.
I had a crazy. So I mean, listen, I'm not like you guys, but that's what we're talking about.
Seal's finally got his first release. I don't know if you put it up. Did you put it up on the website, Seal? Tonight's game.
There is no 21s. I'm only going over 21 of the cheats.
Did you go over any 21 at all, or what?
Yes, I did.
Okay, tell them what you bet. Yeah, release it online. Release it online. The first preseason release of the year, he went over in the Minnesota game. Yep. He went over 21. And Seal, tell them why you went over 21. What did you see in the game?
Yeah, it's just what the coaches said. I mean, Minnesota Vikings said that they really want to score at least a couple touchdowns tonight. They haven't scored a touchdown in the preseason yet. They don't want to go into the regular season without scoring. With Cousins,
okay,
Cousins going to play a decent amount.
Okay, so you were careful with the number, and that's another thing too, Dan. Like a lot of these handicappers will just give out games, and they'll tell you to, you know, bet Green Bay or bet this. The number's a big key. Like one of the first things we do when people sign up with us, we tell them to get as many accounts as you can so you can shop the numbers. Got to shop numbers. Like Seal right now just said. He just said he's not gonna bet our money over 21.5 on the first half of the game tonight. But he did bet 21, and the reason it went to 21.5 is because he's the one that bet all the 21 this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about the number. It's about the information. There's so many things that factor into this. And the first question I had for Seal was, because I'm always looking to bet more. You know, I like the action. I'm like anybody else. I like the action. I like it when my handicappers, the guys that work for me, when they have games to bet, like as soon as Jamie called me with the Spieth information the other day, I was already betting matchups, Spieth against McIlroy and Spieth against Havlam and all these different, you know, whatever matchups I could find. Seal, when I asked you why you didn't go over in the game, what did you tell me today? Why didn't you go over 30? What was it, 38 or 38.5 in the game?
38, 38.5. I don't like the backup quarterbacks for the Vikings. They haven't done it.
Normal people don't know that. I guarantee if you ask Vegas Dave who the backup quarterbacks are for Minnesota, Kansas City, you wouldn't have a fucking clue.
They have no idea.
He doesn't know who the second or third stringers are, and that's the difference right there.
All I can tell you is that's why I love this, and we're going to have a lot of fun as we always do, and it's so great that you're going to be on every week, and obviously we got Jamie and Seal. I know we got Joey Odessa with MMA stuff.
I'm really good. I'm good friends with Joey Odessa. I talked to him today. He's living. He's not living down here anymore, but he's up stateside. He's doing really, really well, and I'm trying to get him on because his MMA information is tremendous. I remember just a short story, real quick. When we first started back in the day, and I started UFC betting first started. Joey told me he knew, like Joey's an ex-fighter. And the guys in Vegas, like the bookmakers in Vegas, used to call Joey before they opened boxing lines. And when UFC started, Joey used to be a professional. He was a wrestler in college. He had scholarship to a certain college, and he was very, very good. So he understood wrestling. When mixed martial arts started, he knew boxing already. He knew how to handicap boxing. He had all this experience with wrestling. It was like the perfect fit. So me and him actually used to talk to Dana White on the telephone, believe it or not.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is before it even blew up. But I remember being on a conference call with Dana White where he was telling us, you know, this UFC thing was going to become huge, and at the time, you was listening to it, and I was like, this guy's, you know, kind of out of his fucking mind. But obviously, he wasn't. Like, he knew exactly what he was talking about. He knew his product. He knew what was going to happen. He knew, you know, if he had control of the fighters and he paid them well, and he took care of them, he was going to be able to build this amazing product. And you've seen how MMA has exploded. And Joey is the MMA guy. Like, I wouldn't listen to anybody else but Joey in MMA. He lives and breathes it 24 hours a day. I've been to his house so many nights watching UFCs all night long. You know, just sitting there with him telling me about, like, I really knew nothing about it. I didn't know what an arm bar was. I didn't know what this was. He taught me everything. And I respect him a lot. And if he likes something, like whether it's a boxing match or an MMA fight, we will put money on it, and we will put it on. You know, Joey doesn't like to sell his picks. He makes enough money doing what he's doing on his own. So he doesn't. He has a website, Udessa.com. It's part of our network. But he doesn't post picks on his website. He's just against it. He doesn't want people, but he will give information. He'll come on the show and he'll educate people, and that's good. They can make their own decision.
I'm telling you, we got to cover top to bottom. Listen, I unfortunately am going to go watch my stupid Lions down at Ford Field tonight, so I got to get out of here. Listen, it's free tickets, so I'm not going to get. I've been to Ford Field in 2 years. Normally there every week.
Enjoy the food, because the game's not going to be that good.
I know, it's going to suck. Steele already told me. No, listen, you guys are the best. We're going to do this every week. We have so many great things ahead of us. And Starsky, I can't tell you how excited I am that you're going to be able to come on the show now and give all this amazing knowledge. And we've got Jamie with his amazing golf stuff. We've got Seal with what he does in so many different sports. You mentioned Joey. Maybe we'll even get Sideburns to come on. We'll probably have to get him really drunk, but our man Sideburns possibly can come on down the road.
It'll be tough, but we'll eventually get him.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. But no, thanks to all you guys. I love this show, and I'm grateful to be part of it. We'll see everyone next week. For the King Jamie, don't forget to get his stuff at scratchcaddy.com. Incredible information on that website. Seal, you got something?
Yeah, breaking news. The New Orleans game tomorrow in football is canceled for the Hurricane.
Oh, no, Hurricane. By the way, you know that.
Yeah. And one other tidbit. I didn't know Sirhan got parole today.
He did?
Got parole.
The guy that shot Robert F. Kennedy?
Yes. Paroled.
By the way, you want to hear something fucked up?
You know what tomorrow? Only can happen in California, but yes.
Of course. Speaking of Katrina or the hurricane tomorrow is the 16-year anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. That's kind of fucked up.
I didn't know that. It's crazy.
Yeah, wow. 16-year anniversary. So let's hope that nothing is bad in the Gulf area.
You know who will come on one week, Dan? This will be fun. We'll get Frank on one week.
Oh, we got to get Frank.
I'm going to tell you what, Frank, for people that don't know, like, what we do, Frank used to be an actuary. So he used to work for an insurance company, and he's a numbers guy. And I'm kind of a numbers guy too, but I kind of bow down to Frank. If I need to crunch something, he's the guy I go to, numbers-wise. And I'll tell you what, he's also obsessed with politics.
I know, trust me.
Mr. Shield, how many hours? If you get Frank on the phone and start talking about Donald Trump or Biden or anything, how long are you on the phone for?
You won't get off the podcast. You're gonna do like a podcast.
I've been on the phone with Frank for 2 hours before, and I finally had to say, listen, I gotta go. I just gotta go.
Frank doesn't know who's playing any games. He knows nothing about games, but he knows everything about numbers.
He's a great guy.
A couple years ago, when Trump won the election, he came to me and he said, listen, I want to make some bets. And I looked at him and I said, what are you, out of your mind, dude? Like, bets on what? Like, football, baseball, what are you talking about? And he said, I want to make bets on politics. And all the sports books were offering, who's going to win the election, what's the vote count, who's going to win the Republican seat, the House, all this stuff. Frank cleaned up, dude. He cleaned up. He's our politics guy. He's our politics better when we're ready to bet politics. So we'll bring him on when there's elections coming up. We'll get Frank on and he'll give away his picks.
I love it. And I'm a big politics guy too, so I'm going to fight him tooth and nail on that stuff.
Good.
I cleaned up on this last election. I call, not to brag, because I definitely have no ego. I'm very humble. No, I'm kidding. But I literally called that election like I was a head football coach. I said that I knew what was going to happen in Georgia. I picked Biden. I mean, I was all over it. But Frank, I know. Frank, as far as numbers go, he's way ahead of my game. I mean, he's way better than me with that.
Steel Sun's real good too. We're gonna have to get Sealy Jr. on there too.
He wasn't too good last election.
Yeah,
I think he lost. I don't know, 500,000. All right, I love all of you. We could spend 5 hours on this show today, but that's gonna wrap it up for today. Please check out Seal's site, sportshandicapper.com, scratchcannon.com for Jamie. Starsky, love you, my man. SportSedge, powered by inspin.com, here each and every week. We'll probably do some specialty shows down the road like we did for the Masters and Super Bowl, etc. For Jamie, for Mr. Sealy McNeely, for King of the Starskys, thank God you're finally on with that Albert Pujols Dodgers hat. I'm Dan Leach, the Squatch. Until next time, we'll see you. Believe in the dream.
Thanks, Dan. Talk to you next week.